Tonight on Q2, some scary news for all dog owners.
Yeah, a deadly disease is now spiking in Billings.
By looking at a dog, you wouldn't be able to know. A lot of dogs that have Canis infections are going to be asymptomatic.
We'll tell you what you can do to keep your pet safe.
Plus, terrifying travel.
Taxes the emergency response pretty heavily when you get people tied up in rescues and searching for folks if they don't have to be on the roads, just stay home.
The snow continues to wreak havoc across eastern Montana all the way into the Dakotas.
And building back up.
If somebody can have quality, affordable housing, it really set the course for everything else that they have before them.
Throw!
New low-income housing breaks ground in Billings.
The MTN News starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Andrea Lutz.
And I'm Russ Riesinger. We begin with a warning for all dog owners tonight. The state veterinarian is tracking a rise in canine brucellosis.
Yeah, the disease usually means that a dog will be put down. Even worse, it can spread to humans. And tonight I'm looking at the impacts on shelters and rescues. Some tell me they may have to completely change the way they operate.
We are a local nonprofit born and bred here in Billings.
Here at the Dog Take Buddies training facility.
We work with veterans diagnosed with invisible injuries, pair them up with dogs.
Lifelong friendships are formed. Executive Director Dee Dee Baker sees it happen every day.
And then we take the dog and the veteran through training as a team to become a service dog team.
But the organization's mission is hitting a crossroad after a case of canine brucellosis fell into the nonprofit's lap.
The dog was 1.5 years, really super nice dog. Started experiencing some issues, and the veteran who he'd already been paired with took him into the veterinarian, and in the process found out that this dog was actually a carrier of canine brucellosis.
Suddenly, training was halted.
I can't take the risk of bringing in a dog in who's potentially infected.
It's a predicament many animal shelters and rescue operations have had to come to terms with. After this, urgent information sent out across the state from the state veterinarian's office, warning of a rise in canine brucellosis.
We've started to notice a pretty big trend upward with our positive cases.
And this is by how much? In 2021, 11% of all testing done in the state was positive. And then in 2022, that number increased to 23%.
We are really increasing our surveillance for Canis now.
Those positive cases are linked to Montana's largest cities and reservations with intact stray dogs.
By looking at a dog, you wouldn't be able to know. A lot of dogs that have Canis infections are going to be asymptomatic.
And that's where the problem lies for rescue operations, but also for anyone who's looking for a rescue dog or has a dog already, because there's no vaccine.
And so these dogs shouldn't be out at dog parks. They shouldn't be interacting, with other people, with other dogs.
And for Baker, another impact to our veterans. Her nonprofit is so desperately trying to help.
We're trying to do the best we can and not create new trauma. And here I've just created a whole new set of trauma by saying this dog has brucellosis. It has to be isolated. For me as an organization, I can't take that risk.
You may also be wondering how canine brucellosis is spread and the risk to humans. Here's what I found out. It's most often spread through dog breeding, though it can be passed from one dog to another through blood and saliva. Again, there's no cure for dogs. The Department of Livestock says more than 100 dogs in Montana have been tested positive so far this year. That's up from less than 10 cases a year just 5 or 6 years ago. And it can be passed to humans, but infections are far and few in between. Rarely are they deadly.
It was a nice sunny day here in Billings, but travel remains hazardous in several counties to our east, all the way into the Dakotas. This is a picture from the Powder River County Sheriff's Office of how the roads look there this morning. They say plows are making progress, but they had numerous slide-offs that needed to be towed. Jessica Rump sent us these pictures from the Broadus area. There is a blizzard warning in effect for Powder River, Custer, Carter, and Fallon counties until 9 a.m. tomorrow, with more snow expected and high winds. I talked to Corey Chagas, Custer County's fire chief and disaster and emergency service coordinator, this afternoon.
So we're seeing roads are blowing shut right away after they're being plowed. I know south of Miles City specifically, the roads are impassable. The highway's open, but they're showing some severe driving conditions. You know, you get on the rural county roads, and they're blowing shut right now. They're impassable.
And these are pictures from the South Dakota Department of Transportation. As you head to the Dakotas, things are not looking very good at all. Roads are impassable in many places. I-90 closed from the Wyoming state line all the way to Mitchell. Of course, a lot of Bobcat fans will be heading that way for the big game on Saturday. Let's send it over to Ed McIntosh now for our first look at the weather.
Here's where we've had reports of perhaps a foot or more of new snow. Just random reports through this afternoon extending well into North Dakota. So the large-scale system is still spinning here as we start looking off towards Minnesota, and that may bring some more bands of snow back into the mix here this evening. You can notice it's starting to approach back into the area again from the east. So across Montana and eastern Wyoming, we continue to look at these blizzard warnings into effect down the easternmost counties of Montana. Travel advisories also into effect. So tonight, the big hazard may not be the additional snow, but the snow on the ground and wind gusts that could be topping 40 to over 50 miles per hour. We'll talk more about it with the forecast details coming up.
It's official, Yellowstone National Park is open for the winter season.
And as MTN's John Shear reports, one of the best early snow years in recent memory has businesses around the park celebrating.
West Yellowstone streets are snowy but lonely this week. That all changed today.
It really just brings a heartbeat to the town.
As soon as the gates open, people come in. Great snow, really early snow. You know, we always have our ski fest that weekend of Thanksgiving, so we're always hoping for snow. And this year we got a lot of it early on.
And that's pumping up bookings for rooms, snowmobiles, and skis.
It's happening. I mean, we have just an awesome amount right now. It's been really good skiing. The trails have been groomed since early November.
With the opening of this gate, access to the heart of Yellowstone is available to winter visitors who are eager to see the famous thermal areas in the unique and beautiful winter setting.
This is the earliest that we've switched over to snow vehicles in quite a number of years. We've been on snowmobiles in the park for employees for a couple weeks.
People are coming into town not only for the park, but it draws them into the town for the park, and then a few days later they'll come outside the park and enjoy that as well.
Everyone in town seems excited for the opening, even folks at a shop that can barely capitalize on the winter season.
Winter's the time that we get to kind of catch up on life.
After all, there's not a lot of fly fishing during these months, but having the park open does make a difference.
We see more people through town. We see more people coming through the front door, and that's a welcome change. It's fun to see people in town.
While the park will be fully open to over-snow vehicles in the south, and the road to Cook City will be open in the north, the summer flooding is still casting a shadow. The Mammoth Hotel will not be open for the winter because of flood damage to the Mammoth sewage system. As is normal for the winter, services are limited inside the park, with most facilities closed. No campgrounds are open for the winter, and while you may see more wildlife, keep your distance.
I think we're going to have a really strong winter. You know, we have amazing things. Our events are coming back strong.
Well, tonight we're learning that affordable housing is on the way after 4 years in the making for one Southside Billings nonprofit.
Yeah, we're out of the development phase and moving dirt as the group broke ground on a unique housing development that will address a housing crisis in our city.
As Casey Conlon reports, they believe it'll be a crucial lifeline for residents.
It may just be an empty lot now, but soon this will fill a huge need on Billings South Side. Thursday marking the groundbreaking here of Tapestry Apartments, a 27-unit low-income housing project designed to do one thing: help those who are already making progress in turning their lives around.
What brought me here is my recovery, my son.
Here is Hannah House, CLDI's sober living home for women and their children. Promise Vasi has been here since June, and she's already accomplished her first goal.
I am able to be a mother now to my 1-year-old son.
Vasi also has a job as a barista at CLDI-owned Rail Line Coffee. Did you ever picture yourself being a barista?
No, but I love it. It's like my favorite job and the longest job I've probably ever held.
Her next step is finding a more permanent place to live for just her and her son.
I never really had a place of my own. I've always dreamed about it. I've always wanted it, but I've had struggles throughout my life that has held me back.
Quality, prideful place to live. That's what CLDI is delivering today.
Vasi is exactly the type of person CLDI wants at Tapestry.
Throw!
Someone who is working to pull themselves back up and just needs a little extra help.
There's one more small step in that pathway that it seems to be a gap where it goes from full assistance to no assistance.
Tapestry residents must make between 40 and 60% of the Yellowstone County median annual income of $34,305. That can be as low as $13,722.
In the south side, for a one-bedroom apartment, the average rent was $1,000 a month. We realize for the folks that we're trying to serve that that's just not feasible.
Units at Tapestry will start at nearly half that, and rent will vary depending on how much a resident makes. The best part, the project is guaranteed to stay low income for at least 46 years, so it can help Hannah House members and others for generations to come.
Previous residents didn't get that opportunity of being able to transition into low income. Some of the residents that I lived with that didn't stay sober, it might have helped them with their sobriety in regards to if they had a place to go.
For me to be able to know that there's things to look forward to and that I can one day call mine is beyond a blessing.
In Billings, Casey Conlon, MTN News.
Well, still to come on the MTN 530 News here on Q2. A day to remember, the Angel Tree adds 2 new names, bringing an unfortunate light to the dangers of drunk driving.
And in sports, we'll hit the hardwood as Lodge Grass aims to once again dance into March. We'll hear from them in just a bit.